So here's some interesting news. You know, since we've had this economic recovery for so long, and the numbers we get from the government, they must be accurate. We got to believe them. Except this number. Economic death spiral. More American businesses dying than starting. In a stunning Tuesday report, Gallup CEO and Chairman Jim Clifton revealed that for the first time in 35 years, wait a minute, recession, the big 2008, 2009 recession was not 35 years ago. We're talking, what, 7 years ago now? So this report, whatever this is talking about, encompasses that and then some. 35 years back, 35 years. For the first time in 35 years, American business deaths now outnumber business births. Clifton says for the past 6 years, since 2008, employer business startups have fallen below the business failure rate, spurring what he calls an underground earthquake that only stands to worsen as lagging U.S. Census data becomes available. Oh, it's lagging for a purpose. Let's get one thing clear. This economy is never truly coming back unless we reverse the birth and death trends of American businesses, Clifton writes. Indeed, the numbers are striking. Contrary to the oft-cited 26 million businesses in America figure, Clifton says 20 million of these so-called businesses are merely companies on paper with 0 workers, 0 profits, 0 customers, or any sales. In reality, America has just 6 million businesses with one or more, newly ones anyways, with one or more 3.8 million of which have 4 or few employees. In total, these 6 million U.S. companies provide jobs for more than 100 million people in America. $6 million businesses. Anyways, of the 2.2 million job-creating companies with 5 or more workers, the numbers break down accordingly. There are... hate when I'm trying to talk and I can feel that yawn dying to come out. And I'm like, nah, I'll just power through it. And then it's like banging on my mouth's back door. No, gotta come out right now. There are about 1 million companies with 5 to 9 employees, 600,000 businesses with 10 to 19 employees, and 500,000 companies with 20 to 99 employees. There are 90,000 businesses with 100 to 499 employees, and there are just 18,000 with 500 employees or more. And that figure includes about 1,000 companies with 10,000 employees or more. Altogether, that is America, Inc. The Gallup CEO says the numbers paint an ominous portrait of America in a dire state of decline. Quote, I don't want to sound like a doomsayer, but when small and medium-sized businesses are dying faster than they're being created, so is free enterprise, he says. And when free enterprise dies, America dies with it. So that once again, this is right up Gerald Celente's avenue. Just like he said. Just like he said. And another forecast he made, he's a trends forecaster, extraordinaire, I should say. He talked about how you're going to see, this is years ago, you're going to see the prices for things like flat screen TVs, computer monitors, little gadgets fall down through the floor. Because they're just so not needed. They're not needs. They're not necessities. They are wants, cool items. You don't need them. The prices are coming down. And Next year, he was right. It came down a little bit. Year after that, oh my God, we have fire sale prices on these things. Year after that, the fire sale prices stayed. Year after that, the fire sale had a fire sale. I mean, you look at what you could buy, a 40-something inch, 50-inch TV screen today. Holy cow. It's incredibly inexpensive. Same with computer monitors, even little gadgets, little tablets and things, you know, little 7-inch tablets and 10-inch tablets, things like that. Man, it's unbelievably cheap. So, got this giant garbage truck here in my way. So, spot on. Well, the other things you need, health insurance for one, food prices even. They haven't seemed to chill out, have they? They've seemed to gone up. And now with the health insurance, the unbelievable raping and pillaging of our purses, if you will, from healthcare, now you get fined if you don't have it. Oh, you don't have it, you're going to get fined. Who's going to fine? Well, the government. The IRS is going to fine you. Why? Because they need revenue so bad. They're not ever going to tell you that, because then you're going to question, hey, what about the bailout of 2008, 2009, and the too big to fail stuff, all that? What was all that about? I thought that fixed our problem. Well, no, it didn't ever fix our problem. As a matter of fact, it made it worse, just like we thought it would, but we didn't want to tell you that. And we knew we'd have to get future generations slightly a few years away, which is you guys today, to pay for this. And then as the fines get worse and worse, most of us will be out of office. The president will be long gone. There'll be a new president, and you can complain to that person. To no avail, because they're going to tell you we have to have this money. We're so in debt, and we spent more than we should have, and look, I know, blah, 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 but I'm the president now, and I have to handle this, and it's not my fault that I got handed this on a plate, and now I've got to deal with it, and no one's going to stand up and say, excuse me, since our debt is denominated in our own dollars, like most other countries, why don't we just write off our debt? Or, rather than write it off, print more money to pay off all debtors, or creditors, pay off all of our creditors, which are, in fact, the bankers themselves, because they're the ones who are out there buying up all of our bonds, and tell them to go pound sand. Why are we creating when we have the power to create a dollar, our own currency, at zero interest, just create the money? This goes back to the documentary. The original was called The Money Masters. The follow-up was called The Secret of Oz. Same guy, Bill Still, created both of them. And if you're going to pick one to watch, honestly, watch The Secret of Oz. That's the latest one. It's more information, more modern information. They're both excellent. But he says, look, the solution is a lot simpler than anyone thinks. And by the way, he says this, right? You don't even have to have gold and silver to back it or anything else. You don't. The solution is simple. And he goes on to talk about how Abraham Lincoln, basically used what he's talking about to win the war, because both the North and the South were poor as can be trying to finance this war against each other. And back then, what did you have? Gold and silver. So we have this war going on between the North and the South. He comes up with an idea. We're going to print these dollars called greenbacks. That's where that term came from, the greenback. We're going to print these dollars at zero interest. There's not going to be any interest. We're not having a central bank, and they're going to print bonds, and we have to sell the bonds off an auction first, and then once they sell them, we get the money. And no, we're just going to print the money for government purposes, as much as we need to pay all the bills, i.e. the troops and whatnot. Almost immediately, things start looking good for the North. They start winning. Long story short, we all know they won, and the rest is history. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, he was going to keep that same system. Since he was the president, he was going to keep that system going. Hey, Why should we create bonds that some other people can buy with because again, back then it was gold and silver bought the bonds. So essentially you now owe people money, interest money, for money that your own country created in the first place. Why are you allowing other people to be paid interest on money that you just printed from your own printer? Because those other people are the bankers. And the bankers love residual income from interest. Because interest on a nation's debt is a death sentence in some amount of time. And the time is not equal every single time. It doesn't take exactly 35 years, no. It's different per country. But the end solution is the same, or end scenario is the same every time. A country that cannot pay back its debt. And again, who is the debt owed to? Other people. Whether they're in your country or not. So if you never had that system in the first place, there would be no people out there who are creditors saying, hey, where's my money? Where's my interest payments? All you do is create the money, you print it, there's no interest ever, and the government uses it to pay all of its employees, to pay the military, to pay all these fees that we, especially when it comes to military industrial complex and Department of Defense crap, the trillions that these freaking people eat up, it would still just print it and pay them. Oh, we're having a recession in the country? Yeah. Government can just hire more employees. More than they might need. Take up the slack. Why? Because they print the money anyways and it doesn't cost them anything. Recession settles down. Jobs are created again in America, right? The cycle starts over again. Okay, now the government can start letting go the excess employees. You guys go find some jobs nowadays. Now at the same time, you can't have these government jobs that pay phenomenally well because those people who are now there aren't going to say, oh, well, yeah, let me go back to the private sector. No, they don't have benefits and compensation packages like you guys provide. I'll send someone else. I don't want to go back to the private sector. Right, so then you got everybody wanting to go to the government. You have to make these jobs equal. An IT-related position for a government agency should be no different than the same IT-related position for a private company. It should pay the same. It should be able to have the same benefits or what have you. There should be no difference. So you have to clean that up a little bit. But it can be done. And again, Abraham Lincoln knew this and implemented it and decided we're keeping this because it worked so well during the war. I'm the president now anyway, so this will be a good deal for America. And then his head was blown off by a whacked out crazy guy who coincidentally, by doing so, allowed that system to stop immediately and us go towards that central bank, print the money with interest attached, pay the bonds, print the bonds, pay the interest on the bonds, enslave American and the American citizen, taxpayer. Do you have any idea how much money you would save if there were no taxes? And by the way, this includes local, state taxes too, not just government. Interest not being created on the dollar. In other words, well, taxes have to pay. Currently, that's how we pay the government employees. Our tax money is paying the government employees, right? In every single sector across the face of this nation in which the government stands. So you would essentially have local, state, and federal government employees all being paid by the same printing press. Interest-free, taxpayer-free. You don't have to pay taxes. You will therefore no longer need to pay property taxes. You won't have to pay income taxes. You won't have to go to the store, grocery store, or any store when you buy something, pay taxes. You just pay for what it is. Right off the bat, doing that would allow all businesses to raise the prices on some things just a little bit immediately. Because now people got a lot more money to spend. And now, everyone can raise their prices just slightly, so everyone can start living a little more middle class comfortably. Can't have that. We have to be told that you have this debt, you must pay this debt, and like they're doing in Argentina, and they're already been doing in Greece and all these other countries that are failing. We lent you this money from the IMF and World Bank. You guys couldn't pay it back. We lowered the interest rate. You still couldn't pay it back. We advise you now through the international court system, who agrees with us because there are buddies in there, to sell off these public, in your country, public assets to help pay down this debt, only to find out you did that and still couldn't pay the debt off. So ultimately, I guess we'll wash it out anyways. You don't owe the debt anymore. But now these public works that were your countries are now in private hands externally, the club, and now they're raising rates on the electric bill and the water fee and the waste management fee and all these fees. And who in the hell are you going to protest to? You can't protest the government, the public entity that used to control those things and set the price. It's all privatized now. Go talk to the owners. Well, the owners have board members and shareholders, and they don't want to hear the word recession or economy. They don't want to hear that crap, okay? So all you peasants, suck it up, pay the damn bills, quit whining. We own it now. Nobody told your country you had to go get these loans. Actually, yes, you did. You forced it down our throats through a corrupt politician who you paid handsomely to accept that agreement on behalf of the rest of us millions of people who told him not to do it at the time, who did it anyways. Well, that's your leader. Don't complain to us. He made the decision for you. Did you vote him into office? Did you vote him in? I didn't vote, but well, they voted and I didn't. How does anyone know you voted for these people? They rig all the machines now. So they're going to make sure their machines, voting machines, vote for their guy who they know will play ball with them. And then tell you, well, you voted for him. And what are you going to say? Well, the results showed that he won and he's been our president. No one's really doing uproar, so yeah, I guess you're right. So I'll just go in this debt serfdom the rest of my life because of some decision some other human being made that allegedly is called our leader. Where are you leading me to? Off a cliff of death filled with debt. Unbelievable. America is sinking. This is more proof. When you have startup companies becoming less than the companies, the numbers are lower, survival rate and startup rate are lower than the companies that were already in existence that have closed the doors. When those companies are closing the doors faster than startup companies are happening, is there any question in anybody's mind that there never was a recovery? We had food stamps from the 2007, starting in 2008, when this crisis happened, were right around 24 or so million people in this country. That's still a lot of people. We're on we're on food stamps. And then the year later, it skyrocketed. The year after that, skyrocketed more. Year after that, we got up to around 50 or so. I haven't looked in a long time, actually, but it was, last time I checked, it was 50 million people on food stamps. It doubled, and it hasn't come down. Same time frame, 6, 7, 8 years now. So now we're at a 35-year cycle here, showing you that we haven't seen these numbers since a long time ago. Folks, if this economic collapse does not happen this year, and again, allegedly it's all pointing to September time frame, I will be absolutely shocked and floored if it doesn't happen. You can already see the pins falling over in Greece. That they saying the one party guy, he's about to take over, and when that happens, kiss the euro goodbye. And it's only a matter of time before all these countries realize we took on debt we really shouldn't have taken on. And it looks like you club members do this to everybody. So you have a system down. You know we all can't pay it. You make us fire all of these employees and public sector workers, private and public actually. We do that, we meet your requirements, austerity as you call it, still can't pay the loan back, people are still furious and lost their houses, lost everything they own, and now you want us to sell off all this private property that we own as a nation to you guys to help pay this loan back, which won't even come close to paying it back anyways. Therefore, why would you even want a tiny portion of the revenue, which isn't actually the revenue? You're selling off the assets to our buddies. And then we simultaneously give you the little money that they gave us because the market's down, the stuff's not worth what it used to be, also created by you guys. And we're going to hand that money to you. It is amazing to see how stupid, how ignorant, and how unbelievably uninformed people of this day and age are, who we call our leaders, are in charge. So are they really uninformed? Or are they getting kickbacks under the table to just do this? It could be both. The bottom line is, it is so wrong. We have to move to what I was talking about the other day, the first time I heard this, the open source society. What is open source? Open source would be like, oh, there's a program you can put on your computer, and it tracks the weather. Okay? Well, if I bought that from a company, it's not open source. They have the source code. They created it. They paid their programmers to do it. And any updates that come for that program, make it better, etc., fix things, comes from that company. I, as a person, can never change that code because it's all compiled now and encrypted, and I can't change the code and make my own version of it with using their parts or their code. No. We are solely reliable on this little company to do it. Open source, on the other hand, is, hey, my name's Jason84, and I started with this little tiny program that tracks weather. It's very basic, very minimal. I'm going to put the source code online in this repository known as was it SourceForge or one of these other sites. And anyone that wants to make it better with me, let's work on it. So then anybody can download the source code, start modifying it, add this, change that, fix that, then re-upload it. Okay, everybody, here's what I've done. Here's my changes. What have you guys added? Oh, I'm going to add this and this and this. Next thing you know, you got a ton of people freely, by the way, working on this as a group project to make this thing that everyone likes. It's a useful tool. We want to make it better. We don't want to pay some stupid corporation to do this thing and get hit monthly charge. We're taking this open source. Everybody can contribute. Not only is it good for that respect, but literally open source. The source code is open. You can now download it and view the code yourself and then compile it, run the program, and it works just the same as if you downloaded it off that site. That lets you now look at the source code to make sure there's nothing fishy going on here. There's no hidden stuff that's going to mess my computer. I can see the source code. Now, sure, you got to understand what you're looking at, but there are millions and millions and millions of people across the planet that know that, and if something was wrong, believe me, someone would say something. When it comes from that private company, you have to wonder, I don't know what's in there, right? So if we can turn our whole society, the government system of the world, into open source, we all could vote on things together. We don't need a Congress. We don't need a stupid president. We don't need none of that stuff. We vote on stuff together. We remove stuff together. Oh, we got to fix the program of government. Obamacare vote, yep, gone. See ya. Oh, IRS income tax, gone. See ya. Central bank printing money with these bonds, interest, boom. Fix that bug. That was a huge bug in the source code, right? That's open source. That's where we need to head as a society. Open source everything. And like Bitcoin, with all the blockchains and all the different areas are what they call the like hubs, if you will, where all the blockchains have to match each individual place on the face of the earth that has these. So as soon as you turn your computer on and get a Bitcoin, you're now downloading the entire blockchains from start to finish of when Bitcoin started, and it's going to match everybody else's out there who has the program running. Therefore, there's a checks and balances that cannot be broken. Same thing has to apply here. We have to make sure our votes count. We have to make sure we're fixing things, and every time something changes, it changes on everybody's computer, etc. So, do you see that happening anytime soon? No. Why? Because the people who are in charge are not going to shoot their financial selves in the foot. They love the campaign contributions. As I said yesterday, The average congressman is 18 times richer than the average American. In a system like this, they wouldn't even be needed. Oh, I bet they'll vote on it. I bet they'll vote, yeah, let's do it. No, a revolution has to happen to force that upon any government to accept that. So, remains to be seen. I feel like I'm still young enough to where maybe in my lifetime we could possibly see some decent changes, but you're going to have to experience a lot more pain first. And I do believe that pain's coming this year. I mean, the writing is so on the wall. Could they stretch it out till 2016? There's no question. Sure they could. They've stretched it out this far. But, again, with the occultism involved and these people and their sick thoughts and weird things, the blood moon cycle, September, the some of the Israel or Israeli special dates, September, Jewish, I should say, rather than Israeli, but the Shemitah date, same thing. I mean, just everything is pointing to September. You know, again, September, October-ish, but September is when several dates within September are like the culmination of all these cycles and things. And again, the elite love to do that. So, that's all I got for you right now. Take care.